Hi folks, how you doing? This is Iqbal with NVIDIA Daily Analysis. NVIDIA and other AI stocks still keep the positive upward momentum. Jobless claims data further supported this upward momentum today. In this video, we'll discuss NVIDIA stock price movement and assessment for tomorrow and early next week. Let's get started. Starting with the daily summary, Nvidia opened at 118.76. It made a high 123.24. It made a low 117.47 and it closed at 122.86. That is 4.05% up. In the last 5 days, Nvidia up about 16.3%. And that's a very good increase in a short amount of time. As I mentioned in my yesterday video, that weekly initial jobless claims data today was important. If the jobless claims comes lower than the forecast, that will add positive energy to the market. And that's what exactly happened. Let's take a look at jobless claims data for today. As you see in this table, the actuals came 227K versus the forecast 236K. So in last 2 weeks in a row, the weekly jobless claims came lower than the forecast. So this tells that the job market is not as bad as the market thought 2 weeks ago. When the jobless claims data came to 49K versus 236K, market started dropping and people started talking about hard landing. But looks like it's not going to be the case. So inflation is going down as per the data early this week, and also the jobless claims going down. So both data are complementing each other. So that's a good sign for the market. And also all three major indices were up today. S&P was up 1.61%, Nasdaq was up 2.34%, and Dow Jones was up 1.39%. And based on the current situation regarding economic data and overall geopolitical scenario, it looks like Nvidia should maintain upward trend as well for tomorrow. Moving on, last 1 month Nvidia is still down 4.34%, and last 6 months Nvidia is up 69%. In last few days or week, you see that Nvidia started gaining positive momentum. Now let's take a look forward PE for Nvidia and other AI stocks. The forward PE for Nvidia at this point is 42.93. So it went up from the last week closing probably about 6 points or so. So at this point, forward P for Nvidia is higher than the last 7 weeks of average. So last 7 weeks of average was about 42.3. Palantir is also up compared with the last week closing, 91.82 versus 90.94. SMCI also going in the upward direction since past few days. At this point, forward P for SMCI 19.72, much higher than the last week closing. AMD also had a good time today and yesterday as well. Right now, forward P is 41.17 versus the last week closing 37.51. So regarding Nvidia, based on the forward PE, I still see enough room for Nvidia to go further up, given that the economic data is supporting this trend. At this point, I do not see any negative data that can pull Nvidia down. Now, let's take a look historical data analysis for Nvidia. Nvidia at this point is up about 30% from the previous earnings announcement. You see that? And if we compare with the last quarter, Nvidia was up about 38% from the earnings announcement 1 quarter ago. That was on 22nd February. So from 22nd February till end of that quarter, that was 22nd May, Nvidia was up about 38%. So we still have probably about 10 or 12 days to go to get a new earnings announcement, and we still have about 8% to go further up for Nvidia if we think that Nvidia should follow the last quarter trend. So 30% versus 38%. And if you take a look, cumulative percentage change graph for this quarter, you see that the upward trend of the surge in last few days, and that's a good sign for Nvidia. And this was kind of expected when I presented to you my data last week, and I had the opinion that the slowdown or the drop on Nvidia is temporary and short-lived, and it should go away before the earnings. So that's what happening. Before the earnings, we started seeing some upward momentum. Now let's take a look technical charts for Nvidia. You see 90-day hourly interval chart for Nvidia on your screen, and also the Fibonacci levels. At this point, Nvidia is around 122. The next level of resistance is at 125.32. And in my opinion, 125 is a strong resistance level. Let's see if Nvidia can break it tomorrow or early next week. So based on the momentum I see at this point, and also all the economic data is supporting the uptrend at this point. So with the absence of any negative data or any event, I think that Nvidia should be able to go up above 125 early next week. The only concern I have at this point is Nvidia has gone up non-stop in last 4 days, probably about 18 or 19% in last 6 days. There might be a little drop due on Nvidia before it goes further up. So that's my thinking. You can write in the comment section what do you guys think. On the lower side, 115 is a support at this point, and after that is 108.26. So let's take a look MACD chart. You see MACD chart on your screen. As I mentioned yesterday, that there is still a positive momentum on Nvidia based on MACD, because the MACD line, the blue line, is still above zero level. But the momentum, it looked to me not very strong yesterday because it was going down, it was declining, but today it got further up. So it looks to me that Nvidia got the fresh momentum today after the supportive initial jobless claims data. So from MACD chart, we still see some room for Nvidia to go further up tomorrow as well. Now let's take a look Bollinger Bands. So at this point, you see that the gap between the upper band and the lower band is increasing. So that tells the same story that Nvidia got some fresh momentum. Yesterday, we noticed that the gap was closing. So I had an opinion yesterday that today maybe some sideways or consolidation can happen. But at the same time, I also mentioned that if the jobless claims data comes lower than the forecast, then probably we'll see again upward movement on Nvidia. So that's what happened today. And for tomorrow, I think that based on this chart, Nvidia should go further up, but not too much, because the gap is already open too much, just like here. Now let's take a look some news regarding Nvidia. Starting with this one that says shares of semiconductor stocks are trading higher amid overall market strength as a stock rebound following upbeat US economic data. So they are telling the same story that, after the positive economic data today, semiconductor stocks got some further positive momentum. So that's what I mentioned in the beginning of this video. Now let's take a look. This one that says inflation reports cement Fed rate cuts, why it's not time to celebrate, and 5 other things to know today. Let's open it. So it says that, The market still has not made up its mind on whether the Fed will lower interest rates by 25 or 50 basis point next month. And also, there is uncertainty about how many basis point Fed will do the rate cut. So if it does 50 basis point, that would be a very good news for market and you will see a surge. But if they do 25 basis point, and that is perfectly aligned with the market expectation. So if they do 25%, maybe market will not behave as positive as we think. So now let's take a look. This one that says AI bubble fears could be overdone. Before last week, we have seen more and more analysis about AI bubble, but past few days, I'm not seeing that much discussion on the AI bubble. So that's a good thing. And also, I was not of the opinion that we are in the AI bubble at this point. Yes, Nvidia and other AI stocks are overpriced, but not that much. And people are willing to give premium looking at the future outlook, right? Now, let's take a look other AI stocks. So as you see, almost all the AI stocks are positive today with the exception of SoundHound. That's down 0.60%. The highest positive change you see is in SMCI, that is 8.59% up. At this point, SMCI after hours is at 632, and I had the same opinion that I had yesterday and before that SMCI should touch 800 before next earnings. So we still have some time. Now let's take a look economic calendar for next week. Early next week, nothing due. The very first important data or news is minutes of Fed's July FOMC meeting on Wednesday, and I'll make a separate video on this topic. And after that, Thursday, we have initial jobless claims that should be important, and after that, nothing, right? So I guess that's all for today and the assessment for tomorrow and early next week. And kudos for those who were patient enough and did not sell their stocks when Nvidia was down. And also to those who bought Nvidia shares around 100. They should have made a good money by now. So you guys can send me thanks or super thanks. No worries, I'm just kidding. I hope you like the video. Thank you so much for watching. Talk to you more tomorrow. Take care.